Hey there folks, my name is Pravus and welcome to an upcoming game called DarkSwitch. This is going to be a survival city builder with a kind of dark fantasy elvish theme. You'll be gathering up resources and navigating difficult moral choices, all while avoiding a mysterious fog that has swept the land. In principle, this game has a lot of mechanics that feel familiar from games like, let's say, Frostpunk, which is what drew my attention. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this game has to offer. Now, this video is sponsored by the developer Cyber Temple, and a very big thank you to them for that. There is not a release date officially announced for this game yet, but there is a demo available on Steam. So if you guys would like to try out the game for yourself, you can certainly click that link in the description down below and give it a go. Now, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into things and I'll show you how this game works. Now, as I said, the story for this game centers around a mysterious fog that is plaguing the land and unleashing unspeakable horrors and driving people to madness. We are setting up a new settlement at a long distance from the capital in order to study the effects of the fog and hopefully develop some countermeasures. But as you're going to see, there's a bit more to it than just that. Now, right off the bat, the story is going to throw us a curveball. We are, unfortunately, getting cut off from the resources of the capital, which means we need to become self-reliant very, very quickly. Easiest solution to start things off. There are mushrooms growing on the side of the great tree that is going to be housing our main base. So we should go ahead and assign a handful of workers for both the day and nighttime shift in order to start gathering up resources. Now, your citizens are divided up into 3 different classes. We have the toilers, the rangers, and the artisans, and different classes have different specialties for different types of jobs. For example, with the mushroom gathering, it makes sense to have our laborers or toilers doing the work, which gets us up to 188% efficiency, so we can gather up just a little bit faster. But you can use all the other professions if you need to. There's also some coils of lumber around here. Let's make sure we gather that up too. Now, there's actually a handful of different resources in this game. I think most of them are not going to be accessible in the demo, but we do get a preview of what's to come. We have basic wood, which can presumably be refined into wooden planks. We have coal, raw food, rations, gas, gasoline, metal, steel, solar, and crystals. Now, I have no idea what those are going to do. Hopefully we can find out. Anyway, we'll let our citizens kind of do their thing, but in the meantime, let's take a look at the building menu. So from here, we will be able to construct, let's say, some housing or some cookeries, and a bunch of other things will become unlocked as we progress. I know I'm going to want the cookery kind of early on. So you can place some structures on these big wooden platforms over here, but most of the time what you'll want to do is actually build on the side of the tree like this. We're going to be building up, around, and on the tree itself, a vertical city builder. Pretty interesting idea. Now, there is a finite amount of space to work with, so trying to find a space that makes sense for your buildings is kind of important. For example, this seems like a kind of perfect spacing for our cookery, so I'll go ahead and place that around over here. And when you construct something, if you have any idle workers at all, they will come over here and start working on the structure. Done. So from here, we can assign a bunch of different people. I'll have the artisans doing some work, for example, cooking up the raw food and turning it into rations. I also know I'm going to need some forest housing because we have some people that are currently homeless, and that is not going to work for me. But do notice that some of your buildings have this kind of ghostly icon around them, showing where you're going to be able to expand some buildings. So for now, we may not be very efficient with our spacing around the tree, but it's going to be important that we leave room so we can get more efficiency out of these houses later. Now, I'm not going to spend any more of my wood for a moment because I want to save some just in case I need it to continue expanding throughout the world. At some point very, very soon, we're going to have to leave the safe confines of our tree and start looking for resources that are on the ground. In fact, right now, actually. This will be dangerous because the fog will come at night and it can drive our people mad. In fact, other villages somewhere out in the distance are already experiencing this problem. A neighboring outpost, Ignalis, has fallen. This means they have been consumed by the fog. What is the fog? Oh, don't worry. You'll see soon enough. What we really need to do is discover some resources. Now, you can see from these little beacons over here, we have some points of interest that we can scout. So we're going to go to our scout base and train up a team of rangers that will be able to traverse the map. Again, this is going to feel very familiar from a game like Frostpunk, just all done on a closer and more intimate map. So let's go ahead and spend a handful of rations that we've been making at the cookery in order to send a team over here so we can discover these trees, because I want to start gathering up that lumber. And in the meantime, I am going to construct some housing down here on this bottom platform. One thing that is going to be very important for us eventually is going to be travel time, and I know that having workers that live and can store resources close to their workplace is going to be important, so we might as well get ahead of that game. Alright, a mining zone has been opened. Now we can place down a lumberjack hut. So let's go to our new resources and place this sucker down. It does cost me 30 wood, which is why I didn't want to overdo it. And again, notice there's a little ghost icon over here. We will be able to use this for some expansion later, so let's be intentional about where I place this so that I can still do some expansion. I will also send my scouting party over this direction because I know there's going to be a new food source. Hello, a small patch of fog. Okay, don't want to build around there. Lumberjack hut is done. Of course, we want to have a bunch of laborers working over here, and wood is going to be extremely important for me, so I want to make sure we start gathering up lots and lots of lumber. I also want to place a warehouse as close to this as is reasonable, because the less travel time for dropping off resources, obviously, the better. Though let's make sure we set this warehouse specifically as a drop-off for wood. Otherwise, it's not going to be working. Now, nighttime is approaching. This is usually when the fog will start to approach. In fact, we can see it starting to creep across the map over here. Yeah, what is this mysterious fog and what does it do? Well, mainly it drives people insane. So, yeah, we want to stay far away from that. There's more to it than that. Don't worry, you'll see. While I wait, though, I do know that I want to get myself another one of these lumberjack huts. Wood is extremely important in this game, which makes sense, after all. We're playing as elves in kind of a sort of lumber punk society. Found another place that we can explore over here. There's a smoke signal beyond the forests. A flare, huh? Somebody dropped something from a skywalker. Now, of course, because we are trying to avoid the fog down below, one thing we'll see very quickly here is that this society does use things like blimps and zeppelins to get around. It's all about staying up nice and high in the protection of the clouds or the trees. So let's go ahead and send the scout team because I want to find out what people dropped for us. In this case, it looks like they dropped off some steel, some rations, wooden planks, gasoline, and solar crystals. Thank you. And some refugees have arrived, probably from that settlement that died off in the distance. We saw the flares. We could welcome them in, which is potentially dangerous because some seem to have possibly gone mad from the effects of the fog, or we could send them away. But I need workers, so we're going to accept this, though there's possibly some problems here. Still, I need additional food and stuff. That means more working hands in order to boost up my productivity. Hey, healing quarters. That seems like something we'll need, but first let's go ahead and grab the fisherman's shed over in this direction so I can gather up the local fish. Now, one way I think something works in this game, so you saw we got a bunch of wooden planks. I've already been constructing a lot of things, none of which officially require wooden planks. I think the way that refined resources work is they're twice as effective as their raw counterpart. So a piece of wood is worth, well, 1 wood when I'm constructing, but I believe a wooden plank is worth 2. I could be wrong on that. That's just sort of the impression I've gotten so far. Anyway, let's go ahead and build up that healer's hut. I know that I've got a few people who are currently sick, and it would make sense to take care of them. Now, anyone can work this job, though obviously the artisans are the best. I do find it's kind of hard to find good jobs for the rangers since they really don't want to do menial work. So this is one place I could toss them, but, well, for now, we'll just go ahead and use the artisans. Oh, I'm already out of them. Never mind, let's go ahead and toss in the rangers then. And just as you might expect, anybody who is suffering from some sort of an ailment will bring themselves to the healing house, and after a long period of time, they'll be back on their feet and ready to work. And now I've got a few people working down here at the fisherman's shed, which means more raw food is coming in to go into our cookery. So everything's chugging along nicely. I just need to build one more set of housing real quick. Oh, and we've already got ourselves a follow-on event from our choice to take in the refugees. Some of the insane people have managed to break 3. Oh, they shouted that the darkness had crawled into their guts and stirred there and only fire could purge them. They tried to set themselves on fire. Yeah, send them out at once to the healing quarters or drive them away. We provide medical care only for healthy citizens. We'll try sending them to the healing quarters, but that's not always as obvious of a choice. The healing quarters take a very long time to work. Obviously, this is where having really high efficiency for the healing quarters would be nice, so I can get more workers and get back on my feet. All right, now at night, as you saw earlier, the fog will start to creep out. There is a way to push this back. We'll need to set up some flame guards, and this is actually a good job for your rangers. This repels the fog to make sure that the people who are working down on the ground don't go insane. So I want to place this somewhere I can kind of protect it, like this right here. And then we'll need another one over on this side. How about right over here? I think this is good enough. Sure. Sooner we can do this, the better, before the fog actually reaches us, because it is getting dangerously close. And a side quest is available. Let's click on that and find out what's going on. Our wood supply is low. We can't erect buildings or construct skywalkers without wood. Oh, there's a typo there with our wood. So please build another lumberjack hut. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I already have 2 lumberjack huts, and all we have to do is gather up 200 wood in 3 days. That should be very, very doable with my current workload. Now, as we can see here, the fog will start creeping closer to the tree's trunk every night. If it does envelop a building, it becomes corrupted, which is going to basically start reducing its efficiency, possibly affect its workers and make them sick, and just generally it's going to slow everything down, so we'll have to repair it. But having the lights nearby will solve that problem, so let's go ahead and make sure we assign these rangers. For now, I'll only assign people to work at night, because that's how many workers I have to spare. But the fog can eventually start to affect you during the day, so you will need to have workers during both shifts. Now, over time, your people are going to start feeling a little bit more afraid of their surroundings, so we have a kind of morale system in the game. At the very top, you can see here, we have fear. The higher the fear, the more likely that your people are going to have some sort of a mental break and become ill and need to get treated. There are probably going to be a few other effects as well. But for now, I think mental illness is my primary threat. Now, something's flying in right here. Hello! All right, we just saw a ship, well, very briefly appear. It's the Luminarchy. Now, I have to say, that's a really cool art. I actually really like the appearance of these guys. It's phenomenal. Anyway, even the name makes people go pale and tremble with fear. With fire and sword, the Luminarchs spread the word of light to the farthest outposts. They seek and punish heretics, whoever and wherever they may be. A sort of inquisition, if you will. We don't really like these guys. They're kind of scary, so I don't really want to let them land. We're under the Archon's personal protection. But, well, they're not exactly going to take no for an answer, so they are going to force their way in. They say that their authority is absolute, and they are going to begin a sort of inquisition amongst my people. So every once in a while, we're going to find that the Inquisition on this big airship right here is going to literally take some citizens and put them to the question with a kind of torture device. I kid you not. And then eventually, as long as the people have not been found to have any sort of heresy or betrayal to the light, they will be released. But, yeah, we're going to occasionally just lose random workers, which kind of sucks. But if we don't give in, well, then they could just use their incinerator cruisers and burn the outpost to ash, which would be a big problem. So pay attention to some of your work outposts, because as you can see here, 4 residents have just been taken to the ship. So now we're below operating efficiency. When they get released, we'll have to go through here and manually add them back in. Whoop, what's this over here? Looks like there's something new we can explore. Send the scouts! I'd like to find some more resources. Oh, we didn't find resources, we found people. Well, that's a kind of a resource. I mean, more hands to do some work. Of course, more hungry mouths to feed, but I mean, all right. So now we have a whole bunch more homeless people. Oh, yay! Every house only can take care of 8 people, so, yeah, we're taking up a lot of space on housing right now. You can build on the ground if you find yourself really running out of space. That is an option, and I don't mind doing that at least a little bit, because the closer people are to their jobs, probably the better. Just understand, of course, that building on the ground comes with certain risks. Yep, here we go. The fog is getting closer. Several workers stand talking at the forest's edge. Wisps of fog curl between the trees. No one pays them any mind until it envelops one of them, and he becomes a madman, clawing at his own face as if trying to tear the fog out of his flesh. Needless to say, the Luminarchs take this as a sign that in some way I am probably evil and deserve what I'm getting. For me, though, I know that the purpose of my outpost here was to set up a way to study the fog and look for countermeasures. So this is going to lead us to some sort of a research system. So let's build ourselves the Engineerium. And this is a large structure that's going to need a lot of room for expansion. Now that we have an Engineerium, we're going to be able to do some research. This is where I tend to move my artisans out of the healing quarters, because I'm going to need all of these guys just to jump on research. And this is going to lead us to our research tree, and there's a lot to look at here, but basically everything is broken up into 4 sections. We have defense, society, resources, and exploration. So right now I want to be able to observe the fog and find out what it's going to do to us. So let's say we want to go over here to the social research, and we can go for the fog observatory. Now this does take some time and a whole bunch of wood or other resources as you get deeper and deeper down the tree. One more reason that I think having lots of wood is extremely important. Let's begin that research. It's going to take a little while, but it will get done soon enough. Well, if the Inquisition would stop taking my residents anyway. Ugh, don't like the Luminarchs. Ooh, but you'll notice, by the way, that fog has gotten dangerously close all of a sudden. Good thing we have these flame guards in place to make sure they don't affect our buildings. Ooh, Okay, first research is now done. Now this is where we're going to learn about how to properly expand some of your buildings with new developments. So if I go to my council chamber over here, we can click on the development screen and you can see that now we can build out the Aether Watch, which is going to take some of my resources, some metal, though we'll probably prefer to use the steel, because again, I think this is a 2-to-1 impact, so steel is just more efficient in general, plus some of my wood. We can build this, it automatically gets placed, so it's not like we have a choice where it goes exactly, but that's going to get constructed just like anything else. So that should probably give you a clue how you can use research in order to get other benefits. For example, maybe it would be worth trying to get the Chop Shop, which is an upgrade to the lumberjack huts so I can get even more wood. More wood will mean more research, so yes please and thank you. There it is. Alright, we got ourselves the Aether Watch. We are now observing the fog a bit closer, which I don't exactly know what that does. It's just a mission requirement for now. Maybe it lets me see a little bit further so we can actually see some of these new scouting points. Or maybe it's going to give me a bit more warning as to how bad the fog is going to be. You can actually see down here in the bottom, actually I think that's exactly what this is. You can see here we have fog levels. This can go all the way up to level 12. Right now we're only at level 2 and this is how much it is covering. So it's kind of like a, I guess like a weather detection system. It's going to tell us how bad the fog is going to get. Finish that technology. That actually somehow seems to have opened up a bunch more things that we can explore. So let's go ahead and start exploring these shimmering lights before they are gone. As far as more research, what else can we do? We could get an upgrade for our fishing for more food. That is an option, sure. A metal collection post might be a good idea though, since we'll eventually need to have some metal in order to get some of the more advanced structures. Let's go ahead and start researching that now. There's the metal collection post done. All right, what else can we get over here? Nothing in exploration. Watchtowers for defense. That is going to be an option at some point. We can begin ground resource extraction, and that means we need to protect people. Protect from creeps. Well, I don't like creeps as much as the next guy. I mean, shooting them with a watchtower probably seems a little bit, like, excessive, but it's okay. Upgrade the engineering again so we can get more resources, maybe. What's an air trail? A way of getting up and down on our tree, down to the ground a lot faster? Could be a good idea. Yeah, this seems like a wise plan so our laborers can get around even faster. Let's go ahead and research that. What's a solar extractor going to do for me exactly? Craftsmen can gather up sap from the bark. Okay. Extraction of solar oil? Solar oil. I don't know what that does yet, so I'm not going to mess with it. Let's instead research the watchtower for now. I got a feeling we're going to need that at some point. In the meantime, this seems like a decent place to put down an air trail, and we can connect that down to a spot. It's too far away. We could do something like this. That'd be a way of getting our workers down pretty quick. Yeah, doesn't seem like a terrible plan. Okay, so maybe it doesn't make any sense to place any forest housing down toward the ground. We should all stay up in the tree to be safe. And then you just use the cable cars. Yeah, it's fine. This is why demos exist, so you can make mistakes and learn from them. I think I am going to go ahead and research the Great Engineerium. It just makes sense. I want to discover more technologies. I want to see what this game has to offer. You know what would be really nice right about now? Having the ability to expand my houses so I don't have to keep trying to plan out where I'm going to place things on the tree. That would be good. Uh-oh, the Luminarchs are getting suspicious of my true intentions here. So my leader is now being put to the question. We must endure. Now, the problem is, from the dialogue that I've seen from some folks, and haven't really shown you, but it's there, it certainly seems like there might be some ulterior motives for this outpost. It's a bit more than meets the eye, not necessarily a fog measuring, apparatus. I mean, that's something we're doing. That's our cover story, but there's more going on we don't want the Luminarchs to know. The problem is, I have no idea what we don't want the Luminarchs to know, so I can't really enlighten you as to what's happening. All I know is we've got our Great Engineerium, and that's great. Let's go to our development and build this thing. Also, we should probably be upgrading our lumberjack huts. I kind of forgot about that. Oh, see, here's what I was talking about. Master Ethnarch, how did you hide the truth from them? That's kind of what I'm talking about. There's something else going on. Something happening, but we don't know what yet. By the way, we now have a mission to discover an iron deposit, which I already knew was in this general area. We've already got the technology we need, so in just a moment, there we go, I'll be able to start extracting some metal. What new technologies do I have access to, by the way? Let's see, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Well, hello, did nothing come out of this? That's disappointing. Maybe that's just not available in the demo. Or I am going too fast for the demo. Either one's possible. For now, we'll just go ahead and start extracting this metal. And thanks to the cable cars, my residences will be able to get here very quickly, so that'll work. Which is great, because I need metal in order to actually build any of these chop shops that I have researched. There we go. Metal production is online at 133% efficiency. It's acceptable for now. Of course, let's not forget we also want to have some more warehouses nearby so that people can easily drop off the metal. There we go. Make sure we get this set. That should speed things up dramatically. And now that we have the resources, let's go ahead and build out said shop. And that's why you need to have that little ghostly area so you can place this thing down. If we didn't leave enough space for our buildings, we're obviously limiting their long-term potential. Oh, what's something new we found over here? Guzzles! All right, we think we found the creeps. These guys look absolutely hellish. Look at that. Ugh, freaky mouth. All right, the Guzzles have never come this close to the settlement before. They could devour our supplies. Oh no, we're gonna have to use rangers to root them out, apparently. Well, I've got a troop ready, so send them over. But here come the Guzzles. We can actually see them approaching on the map like so. I assume that this is where having the watchtower would be good. Could be wrong on that, it's just an assumption on my part, but it does make sense. Found them, destroyed the nests. Good, no more are going to be spawning. I take that back, they've already respawned. What we'll do is we'll build the watchtower and post some guards. Yes. I'm kind of assuming we need to place these close to my warehouses, because it sounds like that's what the Guzzles are going to go for. So placing this right here probably makes the most sense. Now, here's the next big fun thing that's about to happen. We're already having some issues keeping pace with all of the growing needs of our colony. But what we can do is salvage the schematics for a walker, so a giant machine that's going to safeguard us as well as boost up our production. And we're going to have to do a few things to get ready for the giant machines. We have to upgrade our council chambers, which is going to cost us a lot more lumber and metal, so that's going to take us a second. We also need to research the solar extractors. Ah, okay, so we found a use for those. I'm assuming that's what these big glowing purple things are on the giant tree. That would just make sense. What is this? Looks like we have some sort of a moral event here. Our sins? So-called fog worshippers are just random settlers. Some pray quietly, others struggle uselessly against the bonds. Someone's gonna burn them, huh? We could deter the Luminarchy and kill some people, and I do kind of have an excess of population right now. Or, no, we're gonna protect our people. I could do this and I'd be fine, but of course I'm going to say, no, you don't get to burn my citizens. What are you talking about? I mean, I don't know. Maybe later on I'll have to make some hard decisions. It just doesn't seem like I should jump to that quite yet. Anyway, let's go ahead and build up that solar extractor right here. Oh, wow, it's literally a giant drill that's going to be drilling into the tree. That's probably going to hurt the tree, I would guess. Hopefully I don't antagonize and or kill the tree in some way. That would feel very bad. Also, the Luminarchs threw something out of their airship. That's suspicious. How much you want to bet it's a body? Yep, sure enough, they were bodies, charred beyond recognition. Well, that's not good. We are confronting the Luminarch. We're like, you may not even be a Luminarch after all, you're killing your own people. Seize him. Oh, okay, hold on. They actually were false Luminarchs. Huh, but they stole one of my main characters along the way. Well, that sucks. Okay, whatever this crisis is, it expands far beyond my own outposts of Eleran. False Luminarchs, mysterious fog, and we've got our own secret agenda. Something is going on here. And the fog is now rising up in broad daylight. Well, it's not daylight right now, so the timing of that's not perfect, but, that's not good. Wait, we're up to fog level 5? Uh-oh. Hold on, does that mean that we're about to have... You know what, we may be about to have some problems over here. Can we quickly build up a flame guard and protect our metal extraction? I don't know at what level the fog, like, goes over this rocky face, but I feel like it's gotta be soon. Yep, the fog is now starting to consume here. It's actually pushing past my flame guard. I can't even fully get rid of it. Uh-oh. Come on, push this away. There we go. All right, we got rid of some of the corruption going on here. So we have to build our buildings very close because this even is not enough. Yeah, we're having problems over here too. Oh, thank God. The level just dropped down to 2. Okay. We've got a little bit of time to work with here. Gosh dang it, more workplace accidents. Oh, things are starting to fall apart. Too many of my people are getting sick. And the fog is too strong. I can't ward it off. I regret the placement of this flame guard. It should have been right here in the middle. Unfortunately, there wasn't space for it. There is a little bit of a weird coincidence here, though. Why is the fog suddenly getting more active as soon as the false Luminarchs departed? We're gonna have to risk activating the device. We don't know what it is, but a single miscalculation will unleash catastrophic energy. We have to evacuate the tree in 5 different locations. Oh boy. I'll wait to do the evacuation until I've actually got everything scouted. Why risk having only half of the workforce when I still need more resources? I'm a little sad that I wasn't able to do anything with the solar energy, though. That seems like a total waste. Oh god, the fog's now at level 6. Yeah, this is starting to feel very familiar from other games I've played that are kind of like this. The ramping up of the pressure. You know what would be helpful right now? If we could, instead of doing the fishing wharf, just skip this. And it would have been nice to have the rapid marchers tech. That would have been better. There we go, that should help quite a lot. And all of the evacuation points have now been scouted. Okay, it's time for the mass evacuation. Go! 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 Just in time as the fog is now hitting level 10! Oh yeah, everything's about to be engulfed. Absolutely everything. No, like literally, I can see a gigantic wave of fog. Literal wave of fog approaching the tree. Oh, this doesn't look good. This doesn't look good at all. I think we're gonna need a taller tree. Yep, everyone's left. We're the only ones still here. It's time to activate the mysterious device. Whoa! The fog reached the upper tier and its creatures infiltrated even higher, but the dwellings stood empty. A colossal flash lit up Eleran. The fog vanished for kilometers around. Everyone who remained above sacrificed themselves to give the others a chance. Is everything truly lost? Well, for the purpose of this demo, probably. But that's certainly enough to give you a clue as to how this game is going to work. Very nice dark fantasy theme to it. I like it. I don't know, guys. I think there's some pretty serious promise in a game like this. I do love a good narrative-driven survival city builder. You know I'm a fan of those. Very curious how this game is going to continue to develop and just how big it can get. Thank you all very much for watching this video. I hope you found it informative and entertaining in some way. And again, a big thank you to Cyber Temple for sponsoring today's video. Had a lot of fun with this. If you guys want to try out the demo for yourself, or maybe give the game a wish list on Steam, you can find a link in the description down below, and I would encourage you to click on that. Otherwise, please consider hitting that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.